register those attending by turning off your cell phone. This isn't a regular meeting, this is a presentation, so I'm not going to go through everything. But if you do like this kind of thing, say something on your feedback form. So I got to tell you just a little bit. This year I joined the Area 31 Grapevine Committee. And I, went to a creators workshop that was held in Hadley, just to be supportive. And during a break, I overheard Michael, who's a former chair of the Area Grapevine Committee, talking about wanting to write an article about William James and Carl Jung meeting in Massachusetts and their connection of how that wove through some of the history of AA. Well, first of all, I had to cop to eavesdropping. I was really intrigued right away and practically interrupted the conversation to get his phone number. And I'm really glad I did. I'm really looking forward to this. Michael taught at Clark University. While he was there, he learned about this meeting and has subsequently researched how this influenced the development of AA as we know it. I've been really looking forward to this and what he has to say about it. This room is available after the talk for a little while, if you want to meet with him informally, if there's not enough room for time for the Q&A. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So thank you. I give you Michael.
Wow. Jeez. Thank you so much. My gosh. You haven't ever met me or know anything about me, and you're already clapping. Yeah, so my name is Michael, and I am a grateful alcoholic. And let's see, my sobriety date is November 11th of 1992, and my home group is Amherst Friday night. We meet at 8 to 9:30, the old way, hour and a half meeting. And I have a sponsor. My sponsor's got a sponsor. And I've sponsored men, taken them through the 12 steps as outlined in our book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I've got a commitment at my home group, and I've also served at the area level. So I say all that not to brag, but to tell you that that's my program today. I try to stay in the middle, and I'm always grateful to do anything that AA asks of me. So I want to first thank the program and convention planning committees for having me out to the 61st Annual Mass State Convention. And it's been a great time so far. I guess, does this go up? You can hear me. I'll go down like this. And I want to thank Susan for eavesdropping. Because I'm not I do love a lot of attention, but I'm not the kind that would say, hey, I want to speak. But she started inquiring, and I started telling her about my interest in having to be a writer. So with that, I'll start with just a little bit of my own story because it ties into everything there is to say today. My first drink was in Kansas City, where I grew up, and I was 13 years old, and I did fall in love with alcohol. It was Boone's Farm. It was an apple wine, followed by a Mad Dog 2020 Chaser. My dear cousin David, who we were both in the 8th grade. I think it was the 8th grade. It was a brand new school, and David knew a guy, Kevin Soba, who had a fake ID. So out in the Midwest, it probably took place in a house near a cornfield, if not the cornfield itself. It was my first spiritual awakening. The feelings of expansion and awe and wonder and surrender and ecstasy. And I was a free man, it seemed to me, a free young man. I watched the documentary, so that's probably going to be rubbing off some of the language in there. At any rate, I definitely had the allergy and the merciless obsession at that age. Fast forward 5 years, I did not blow all brain cells. I was a freshman or a sophomore at the university. out in the Midwest, where they taught basically 4 guys in the Western Civ class: Plato, Aristotle, Nietzsche, and William James. And they showed me the book. I had to buy it for this class. It was written in 1902. I was, 18? Come on. It was impenetrable reading. I mean, come on, let's face it, even today it's a little dense. Varieties of the religious experience I'm talking about. Although I really have come to appreciate it. And I had a lot of drinking to do at that age, right? I had not finished my drinking. Needless to say, I failed the test. So in many ways, I'm probably here today to pass the test. So I'm going to see if this one's going to work. My slideshow starts now. Okay, I brought some slides. We'll see if it happens. This is, Susan did this graphic. I think it's great. All right, we're going to start with a little audience participation. You guys thought you were getting off the hook. There's kind of 4 kind of pre-AA moments. I mean, it's all this is from here on out. All of this is arguable, and there's a lot of historians in AA, believe it or not, and I'm not one of them. So what comes next is arguable, but there were sort of 4 kind of primary moments in pre-AA, that is leading up to when Dr. Bob and Bill W. met each other. And so this quiz is going to show you some places, and so we're going to see who knows what places are what, and if you don't worry about it. Okay, this is place number 1.
Carl Jung's office.
Carl Jung's office, very nice. You get the extra credit in the class. 1926, Switzerland, long way away from home. A guy by the name of Roland Hazard goes over, hopeless alcoholic, goes over to get help from Carl Jung. He's, of the elite. His family is well-to-do, Rhode Island. He's actually served as a state senator. He's a businessman. And he says, are there any exceptions? And this is when Carl gives the vital religious experience. But Bill, of course, thankfully changed that to vital spiritual experience. And Carl also talked about the hopelessness of the condition. This is number 2. Clinton Street, thank you.
Awesome.
Extra credit over there. This is 1934, flash forward quite a few years from 26, November, Brooklyn, New York. The kitchen talk, the Abby Thatcher kitchen talk. Abby had met Roland in, without going into too much detail, the Oxford group, and Roland had given him the message from Carl Jung about the vital spiritual experience and about the hopelessness of the condition, all of which he passed on to Bill W. Probably the most important thing that was, as we saw in the film, the Oxford group, because they, of course, had the tenets that our steps come from. All right, this is, I had to do this shameless self-promotion. My daughter moved to Brooklyn, so there I am. I mean, come on, right? I mean, she didn't want to come over there with me, but I was like walking down the street, and I'm like, wait a minute, Clinton, 182. All right. Number 3. Good guess. Excuse me? Wherever William James. No, so number 1 was 26. Number 2 is 34. This is also, I'm going to give you a hint, 34. Towns Hospital. That's Central Park. The beautiful Central Park. Yeah, that's Towns Hospital. I wish I was trying to find out what floor he was on. This is where Bill had his vital spiritual experience, right? Under a cocktail, but he still had a cocktail of sorts. He still had his spiritual experience, and this is where Dr. William Silkworth, of course, worked. There we go, Towns Hospital, Bill's spiritual experience. All right, and now finally. That's right. It is the library in the Gate Lodge of the Sieberling estate, the Goodyear fortune, where Henrietta brought our co-founders, and I'm going to use that word again, but our co-founders, Bill W. and Dr. Bob, on, I think their first visit was on Mother's Day, 34. We were founded in June, of course. All right. 35, thank you. Mother's Day is May.
Father's Day.
No, it was May when they first met on Mother's Day. However, Dr. Bob had more drinking to do.
Oh, I see.
So his sobriety date is June 10th of 35, yeah. All right, here we go. There we go, that's where we got it. And then this is the first, so this is where I'm gonna like take some liberties. I think this should be a fifth, and this is gonna be the first moment, and it was 1909. Most people won't know this. Clark University, good, yes, it is Clark University. This is the study of the president of Clark University. This is where Carl Jung met William James. Yeah, I mean, it kind of gave it away because, that's, yeah, so this is where it all happened. This is where Bill, and this is 1909, so remember, Bill is making the boomerang this year. And if you didn't know about the boomerang story, he's age 13. He's making that boomerang that figures in our big book, which is comes back to slice him to pieces. Well, he actually made a boomerang. His grandfather challenged him, and he rose to the challenge. Dr. Bob this year, 1909, when they meet, is starting. He's graduating the following year. He graduates in 1910 from med school. He's quite a bit older than Bill. So this is where the Grand Master, William James, age 67 this year, and the eager Jung, age 34. A quarter century before AA is founded, and 17 years before Carl meets Roland, they speak intimately about spiritual experience, the afterlife, and the highest stages of conscious self-realization, I like to think. We do have some evidence of what they were talking about, and we're going to get to that. So this is the university. This is the university then, and this is the university now. So I got there in 2010. This is about 100 years after they met, right? And so everybody, it wasn't like I was in the psychology department, so it wasn't like we were talking about, last year's 100th anniversary, but they did have a party out there. But the real credit for my talk probably goes to the Mass State Convention a few years back. I was sitting in the audience up in the Castle Hotel up in, thank you. And you all know where it is, you old timers. And the guy up there, he'd come to speak, and he mentioned Carl Jung taking the handbags of the famous psychiatrist there, and I thought, and he mentioned Clark, and I said, I worked there. So, needless to say, I went and I explored the whole situation, and here I am. All right. The next slide is 1887 when we were founded, and this is our president. He was president from the get-go. And in 1909, he's still there. His name is, as you see there, and he was born in Ashfield out in Western Mass. And he was a pupil of William James. William James gave him the first doctorate in psychology ever designed in the world. And he got it. So he's out in Worcester, and he's studying what he studies, which is, let's just say, off the beaten path of his contemporaries out in Boston. So to show those guys in Boston up, out in Worcester, he decides to send them a message, so he invites the most controversial and unknown figure he can find. And he's going to introduce the concept of psychoanalysis to the world. Whose main contention at this point, and I don't know if this still holds true, I don't think it does, but at this point it was, that much human mental trouble springs from what's called the unconscious, to where the conscious mind represses events, many of which are connected with our natural sex instinct, and which begins in infancy. So this guy came up with something you've all heard of, the Oedipus complex, the defense mechanism, psychosexual stages, and it's none other the brainchild of this guy. Let's get him out to Clark, to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So James had actually taught this guy, William James had actually taught this guy, and Hall had really admired him. They had similar interests in sexuality in childhood, abnormal psychology, and something called hysteria at the time. Here is Freud today. We got a great statue out of Clark. And there he is. And the thing about Freud is, he said, no way am I coming to your conference. No way. I got patients, I don't think they offered him enough money, quite frankly. And so he had patients, and he wasn't about to come. And besides, he was very, quote, venomous about the United States. He had a very negative attitude. He thought civilization should not develop like the U.S. was developing. It was a crude place based on money. Right? This is what Clark students think of Freud. Why wouldn't you just accept? We're going to honor you. Come on out. So at any rate, he's 53. He's only a part-time lecturer at this point. He's the author of something called Interpretation of Dreams. It's only told, in 10 years, it's only sold 200 copies at this point. He really is a nobody. People are ridiculing him. He's only published in German. And so, it's like, come on. Are you really going to come out? But guess who talks him into it? This is his young protege, our hero, Carl Jung. He's 2 decades Freud's junior. Happy birthday, Carl Jung. It's the 150th anniversary of his birthday this year. And he says to Freud, the echo is going to arouse Europe if you go on this thing. You got to go. And he says, maybe. And then I think so, and I love synchronicity, because Jung came up with synchronicity. And synchronicity happened when Hall shifts the date around of the conference, not because of Freud can't show up, but for other guests. He shifts the date around. All of a sudden, Freud can show up, and then he increases his honorarium from $400 to $750. And then he offers him an honorary degree. So Freud's like, right on. And accepts immediately. This is in August the year before. Like a month and a year before in advance. Poor Jung. There's no evidence of when he was invited, but we think it was August, right before the conference. He's an afterthought. Carl Jung's the protege. He's an afterthought. He's done a lot of work in institutions, psychiatric institutions at this point. He's got a lot of theories. He's got some tests he came up with. He's really interested in the occult. As we know, I think Carl Jung is a bigger figure, certainly in my recovery in my life, than Freud probably. He gave us the collective unconscious, the Myers-Briggs you may have heard of. And what I really found incredible is this concept of individuation, which he gave us. So, and he also, our founder, of course, went to a Jungian analyst for about 3 or 4 years in the 40s, Dr. Francis Weeks. And Jung also wrote back to Bill late in life. I think it was about 6 months before Jung died. There were some letters. And he said, you see, alcohol in Latin is spiritus, and you use the same word for the highest religious experience as well as for the most depraving poison. The helpful formula, therefore, is spiritus contra spiritum. And guess who's the other afterthought? That's Carl at the conference. The other afterthought is this guy. Your mentor is always an afterthought, right? It's like you're trying to build your reputation. The guy's 67. He's fatally ill at this point. Within a year of his death. But he's the father of psychology. He is the father of psychology. He's much more eminent than Hall would ever become. In fact, history doesn't look kindly on Hall. History has looked kindly on this guy. He wrote, of course, The Test I Failed, Varieties of Religious Experience. When, the ideas, that Abbey brought the book to Bill while Bill was in Towns. He talked about Hinduism, he talked about Islam, transcendentalism. He went through every religion and he interviewed people, and it's this multiplicity of spiritual roads, all of which could be followed with equal success. He gave us pragmatism. If it works, work it. And God, as I understand, really, I think. So, the next one. Let's see what it is. Oh, too far ahead. So I also want to say this. I want to tell you what Bill said about the book. He said the book Varieties. The book was not easy reading, but I kept it all day. By nightfall, by nightfall in Towns Hospital, I'm assuming, this Harvard professor, long in his grave, because at this point, this is 1935, or 34, had, without anyone knowing it, become a founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so he is a founder, as is Carl Jung. He gave the same sort of blessing to Carl Jung. And this man wrote, the only radical remedy I know for dipsomania is religiomania. And Bill W. always uncomfortable with that, so you never really heard him quoting that, because religions are, of course, dogmatic, rituals. Most alcoholics, it's certainly me, would rather be drunk than religious. It's that you're going to hit me in the face with a wet mop, as we heard on the documentary, right? When Bill was trying to, no thanks. So they get on the boat. This is the very boat that 3 years later warns the Titanic. On April 14th, 1912, it warns all the boats that there's an iceberg. But 3 years before, Jung and Freud are interpreting each other's dreams. Of course, what else do you do if you're a psychoanalyst going to spread your ideas in America with your mentor? You analyze each other's dreams. This was actually the beginning of the end for the two of them. I don't know if it was about their dreams. I think it was, because there's a lot of data. There's a lot of description about their dreams and how they analyze them. But in a nutshell, Carl Jung's collective unconscious and views about spirituality, Freud couldn't handle, because you couldn't scientifically investigate them. Jung also believed Freud was way off the beaten path with his obsession with sex. So within, I think, 4 or 5 years, they had pretty much split. But they went to New York and they saw Coney Island. They went to the Met. They went to Columbia University. They went to the Nickelodeons. They had a good time. There was a Hungarian psychiatrist with them. So then they went to Boston. They took a steamer to Fall River, a train to Boston, and then a train to Worcester. And then this is the 20th anniversary. There's an old program. This is all of them gathered at the conference begins. It's basically 175 of the most eccentric academics ever assembled. Neurology, education, medicine, anthropology, interdisciplinary geniuses and cranks, and even the odd political revolutionary. Emma Goldman shows up. She's this anarchist agitator, really into free love and sex, and wants to hear Freud, right? I mean, you can only imagine, this is like early psychology. I mean, they're all batty as all get out. They had, there was no Librium, there was nothing. They had nothing but ideas, right? So here they are. We got Freud looking okay over on the left. You got this really happy guy that's bringing everybody together, Hall in the middle. And then, of course, Jung, who's trying to look smarter than he is, And he is very smart, actually, of course. This is where they talked. Freud gave 5 lectures that became infinitely famous. It put him on the map. He became a rock star of psychology from here on out. For most of the 20th century, he gave 5 lectures. Freud did. He gave 5 lectures. Jung gave 3 or 4. This wasn't as huge for Jung, but it was huge for Freud. And imagine this place with chairs. It wasn't huge, but and the lectures, get this, were all in German. And the newspapers still showed up, and people spoke German back then. A lot of Americans spoke German. And Freud didn't want to do it in English because he couldn't do English very well. So this is where it all took place. Hall's house, finally. This is where Freud and Jung and James and Hall all congregated at night. For 2 nights, James and Jung connected. Without Freud and Hall, they had some private conversations. But Jung had some things to say about American life, and he said there were carpets everywhere in this guy's house. This house right here. He wrote to his wife, all the doors are open, even the bathroom door and the front door. People going in and out all over the place. All the windows extend down to the floor. And man, in the bathroom, and it's just, to quote him, that's my own quote, man in the bathroom, here we go. To top it all off, there are boxes of cigars even in the laboratories. This is Jung to his wife about Hall's home, right? So James comes and he talks. He's got a paper in his pocket, and they're around the dinner table, and Hall's really interested because Hall has lost his wife and daughter to a gas leak years before, and as everybody in the era would do, spiritualism was huge. So he got involved with seances. Hall, the guy that's invited him. And James also had lost somebody, and his son, his young son, and his father-in-law. And this woman had helped James immensely grieve, and he believed her that she communicated. She had messages for James from his father-in-law. Hall did not have her, but had another one, but quickly determined that it was unscientific, and basically went the opposite route and thought that spiritualism, including this woman, was the very sewage, the ruck, and muck of modern culture. But James had brought his most recent, he's 67, he's old. And he's brought his, year from death. I mean, I think age probably, 67 is young today, believe me. But back then, I think he had a lot of health issues. Anyway, he's at the dinner table, and Hall says, hey, where's that report you wrote? Because they're going to make fun of him probably. So, take up the scientific report you published on Lenora Piper, who is the most famous medium in the 19th century. Private detectives are hired to watch her. She's debated. There's papers in the British media and in the American media. She's really studied. Some people believe her, some people don't. And so Hall doesn't and wants to embarrass James. And James, of course, reaches into his pocket to pull out the report. And what comes out but the Freudian slip? A bunch of cash. And it just falls onto the ground, right? So he gains his composure somehow. And everybody's laughing. And finally, James excuses himself and produces the real papers from the other pocket. We don't really know the conversation that followed. But what we do know is that they really got along, and these two. And there's no picture of them together. This is the bigger picture you saw earlier, and we kind of fused them together here at the conference in that huge picture. But what we do know is that Jung wrote to his wife, I spent 2 delightful evenings with James alone, and I was tremendously impressed by the clearness of his mind and the complete absence of intellectual prejudices. And then he says, later in life, he writes, I was a young man then. I lectured about association tests, which gave us Myers-Briggs eventually, and a child, and I also lectured about a case of child psychology. This is at the lectures at Clark he gave when he was there. that James listened to. And he said, I was also interested in talking to him about parapsychology, and my discussions with William James were chiefly about parapsychology, which would be Lenora Piper, and about the psychology of religious experience. And, here's a couple of quotes. James was the only outstanding mind with whom I could conduct an uncomplicated conversation. We get the hints that things with Freud were kind of complicated. It was James's far-reaching mind which made me realize that the horizons of human psychology widen into the immeasurable. And if you get through varieties of religious experience, I think you would probably say this too. It's an amazing sort of work. All right, I want to completely change topics now and talk about my own spiritual experience just for a brief moment. This is the site of my last drink. This is Arlington, Virginia. It's the 23rd floor. My last drink was a scotch on the rocks. I got a black eye that night. I was crying over, and it's the great alcoholic story, I was crying over the girl I was supposed to marry. I blacked out. I woke up here, and I was hungover. The bedroom was just a complete dump. I was living with some real weirdos, a Texan, an actuary, and a woman addicted to crack. I was convulsing my own, having convulsions on psychiatric. I was on a lot of psychiatric medication, abusing it. I'd resigned a career covering Congress and the White House and the EPA in journalism. I was temping, and I couldn't even get temp jobs. I wasn't speaking to my family. I was a suicide survivor at that point. I've been in jails, institutions, 4-hour surgery saved my life. I'd been to meetings, of course. At this point, I'd had a year and 7 months, but of dry time, really, and picking up your coins, but doing it my way. No steps involved. And Lisa, the addict, said, "Well, acceptance group," and I said, that's a terrible name for an AA group. But I went, and Cliff T was there, and Cliff T said, I said, "What do I do?" I told him everything. 'Cause that's a lot for a young guy. And he said, "Go home and get on your knees and pray." And at that point, nobody had ever really told that to me. And on a whim, not knowing what I was doing, I went home and I got on my knees. And I think when you get on your knees, for me, the tears come. Anyway, I cried and cried and cried. I don't know how long I cried, and I called out, God, God, God. And so it was the self-pity and remorse and desperation that all of us probably know. All of our stories are like this in some way. And but that was the night, the light, the warmth, the expansion, the awe, the wonder, the ecstasy, the surrender. I was a free man. I had no idea. I'd lost everything. My family, I told you, the litany of things. Nothing was going to happen for me. But the following day, I got in touch with a sponsor that was younger than me. It's kind of like I always love making parallels to Bill W. and Dr. Bob. In fact, my sobriety date is Armistice Day, which is the day, I think Bill W. started his last drinking bout. Armistice Day, we heard about it in the film. But anyway, that was the day that I turned it all over and I started doing it the AA way. And I stand before you a free man. And we're going to get back to the story. So the hopelessness I just described, a misguided search for a spiritual connection to be overcome by a powerful spiritual conversion experience, usually sudden or educational. Actually, after that moment, I spent the rest of my sobriety in an educational spiritual conversion, for sure. I did have a sudden one, though, that night. The conversion could come out of a multiplicity of beliefs, religions, roots to the divine, God, as I understand. those two men did not talk about all this that night, but those two men had dealt with alcoholics in their practices at that point in time. I know that James had written about alcoholics, and I know that Jung would write about alcoholics later, and I can say they agreed with these things. I like to say. Freud did say something nice about James. He said when they were walking back to the train station and that night after the conference was over, James stopped suddenly, handed me a bag he was carrying, and asked me to walk on, saying that he would catch up with me as soon as he had gotten through an attack of angina pectoris, which is a heart attack. He died of that disease a year later, and I have always wished that I might be as fearless as he was in the face of approaching death. And he should say these things, because this was in 1925 when he said this, and he'd already been through a couple of terrible Freud operations for throat cancer, and I mean, he was really contemplating his own mortality, I think. 8 summers later, voila, anybody know where that is? 8 years later, 1917. Another moment, but it didn't make our top 4. In 1917, he's 22, Bill W., we're completely jumping out of William James and Carl Jung. This is 8 years after they met, Carl Jung and William James. What do you think happened in 1917 in this place? First, what? The Bronx cocktail, the first drink. Bill W. had his first drink. This is a Red Cross. They converted this mansion into Red Cross. This place, I kid you not, is in Massachusetts. It's in New Bedford. Yeah. Abe Lincoln was in here, not at this time, but had visited this house. Abe Lincoln, John Quincy Adams, and Daniel Webster had been in this home. This is the home of a really rich guy by the name of Grinnell. And you're never going to believe how Grinnell made his money in the Chinese opium trade. It looks like a bank, right? Still standing. This guy he owned the banks, he owned the railroads, and he owned the cotton mills, and he was into shipping, and actually his brother, believe it or not, owned the ship on which my great-great-grandfather came to this country. Oh, wow. Yeah, and his son was a terrible alcoholic. It's probably why I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm kidding. It is, the science has said it's hereditary. A few years later, this is 1926, I just had to show this slide. That's Jung's great, who else other than a psychiatrist is going to live in a house like that? And then that's Carl over there in the same study. And then, the other thing I wanted to mention was this is a quote that a guy by the name of Sam Shoemaker really loved. Sam Shoemaker was at the Calvary Mission in New York, where Ebby was involved and Roland was involved, and it's what gave us a lot of our pre-steps. Anyway, it's the crisis of self-surrender, the throwing of our conscious selves on the mercy of powers, which, whatever they may be, are more ideal than we are actually. The vital turning point of the spiritual life. I put in spiritual, it said religious. But that's a great quote. I think that the other thing to mention here is another input into our fellowship, kind of outside of everybody, but also related, is William James grew up in the Church of Swedenborgian. And this is a tradition, a religious tradition that was Christian-based. And they believe that the material world is only a manifestation of the spiritual world, and whose purpose is divine salvation is achieved through a life of charity and good works serving God. And Lois's grandfather was a minister in this Swedenborgianism. And so This is where they got married, Lois and Bill, at the Swedenborgian Church in Brooklyn. And you know, you can say that it's part of our history. The other thing is the Episcopalians out of, is that really the time? Did I go that long? Goodness. I timed it. I only talked 30 minutes. I must really be going slow. But I'm almost done. Let me show you one more. Oh, I do? Oh, okay. Everything's on the hour for me for some reason. Okay. So I wanted to make the point that the Emmanuel movement is another input. And that is a movement that started around the same time, early 1900s. And William James really supported it. And Roland Hazard was actually treated by the Episcopalians that were involved with this movement, which was really some psychological analysis. The group was really big. They did start working with alcoholics. They had a lot of spiritual principles, something called the Jacobi Club. Really worth looking into. And then I also wanted to say something about the spook room. Anybody heard of the spook room? Bill and Lois held seances.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So William James was right. I mean, you know, Bill was, of course, we saw in the film, forever seeking new ways of sobriety and new ways of spirituality. So they held seances and Ouija boards and got messages from spirits. I believe this is the room. I could be wrong. In our book, Pass It On, it describes a 1944 visit to Nantucket where Bill channeled several former residents long dead. So I will conclude by saying that, you know, what ended up happening is Silkworth actually started giving Bill W., right after he got sober, some of the messages that James and Jung had given us. And that was, Bill was really depressed. He couldn't get anybody to stay sober. He was like, you know, really trying his heart out. And I think a lot of it had to do with his maybe a preachiness side of him, possibly. And so Lois probably gave him one of the most important messages, which was, you know, you're staying sober. You're going to help these people. Look at you, you're staying sober. This is before Bill meets Bob. And he goes to Silkworth, and Silkworth says, look, you got the cart before the horse. You know, the obsession that condemned them to drink and the allergy that condemned them to go mad or die, which was what Silkworth gave us. But it was also the calamity and the collapse that Jung and James were talking about, the hopelessness. You know, he's really wanted to beat the hopelessness and really get into that level of hopelessness. And it was effective, as we know, because when he went out to Akron and we had that wonderful moment of the founding of our fellowship, really. And he took that with him when he met Dr. Robert Holbrook Smith. And, you know, I think I'm getting tired and hungry, so I'm going to... And I've talked too long. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll end there. And take any questions. This is the timeline if you're confused.
I'm just wondering if you'd say more about the Roland Hazard weaving in from Switzerland through forward.
Roland Hazard, yes. Well, he came back and joined the Oxford group, quite simply. And he got religion through the Oxford group, quite frankly. And he actually helped bring Ebby. They were all vacationing up in Vermont at a pool party, and he helped because a friend of his is dad was a judge and was going to throw the book at Ebby and put Ebby in jail. And so Roland and a couple other guys brought Ebby down to New York City. And that's where Ebby found the Oxford group and Sam Shoemaker and had gotten sober. And so he had been to the Oxford group and had gone over to Bill's and told Bill at that kitchen table talk about the Oxford group and about hopelessness and about finding a God of your own conception. In a nutshell. Good question. There's a lot more detail to that I'm not necessarily covering. But good question. Yes.
Can I ask you, have you ever written anything about this? Do you have any of your own published work?
No. I write about everything else under the sun. I'm a writer, so. But no, for some reason, I don't know, I'm anonymous in Alcoholics Anonymous, and the only thing I could see doing is maybe for the grapevine, and that's how we started talking about it. But no, I often want to write something, but I don't. But I probably will. Thanks to your question. Yeah, there's a lot of disparate sources, right? So down there at the bottom, the non-conference, there's a big book, The Historic Expedition to America. It's right up from the bottom there. Ernie Kurtz, who we saw in the video, I took some from him. Certainly, the other one is, I took some from Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers, Comes of Age. And writing the big book gave me some stuff too. This is the big book that just came out about the writing of our big book. But there's a lot of other papers and articles, but nothing's been gathered in terms of how it's related to Alcoholics Anonymous, no. So I think Ernie mentions it in his book, if I'm not wrong. Some of you have heard of it. Have some of you heard of the Clark Jung?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily new, maybe, for some of us, but I went into some deeper dive just because I could. So,
I have a question.
yes.
It's not AA, but the religious experience book, I picked it up years ago. I tried to open it. I was like, oh, it hurt my head. Has there ever been a book written post that's a bit more written in a way that anyone can sort of read and take in and understand?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is there an easy version of varieties of religious experience? Right? Kind of like what we just went through with our big book, which I think is a grand idea. There's something called Cliff Notes, which I might have relied upon. I don't know. I don't know if they published anything, Cliff Notes, but
Queen of the Cliff Notes.
yeah, the audio book. Now that'll put you. I have a good friend that claims to be very spiritually advanced in Alcoholics Anonymous because he listens. Because this friend of mine listens to the entire audio book and falls asleep. A varieties of religious experience because it's dense. Get a dictionary, take some deep breaths, read things out loud. You know, it's slow. But it's really, I can say it's really rewarding if you have patience. And if you had some kind of guide, you know. I think there probably are if you look hard enough at guides to getting through that. Because it is, like I said, out in Kansas in 1984. I mean, they were teaching James like he was up there with Plato, Nietzsche, and like I said, he was like a staple of the Western Civ program in the 80s out there. So there's got to be a guide for him. Yeah. Good question. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming.
I want to thank you for coming. And in a token for our appreciation, I have a small.
Oh. That's very nice. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Do you ever do, have you ever done this for recovery speakers
No.
or on Tuesdays?
No.
No?
Recovery speakers on Tuesdays. What's that?
It's like a history. It's a history site. It's a history talk. They do a live talk every Tuesday night.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael, it was fabulous. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Do you want my number?
I
or-
do.
Okay.
That'd be great. All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for
That'd be
listening.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, even my even my home group is online.
ABC and Amherst.
Good to see you. Yeah. Good to see you again.
See it on there.
Hey, good to see you.
How long did it take you to read it?
I don't think I ever read it cover to cover.
Took me 10 months. Cover
Really?
to cover,
You did? I'd love to read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
I've only hit parts of it.
I first
Yeah.
tried it, I wasn't successful.
Did you read it in a group setting or
Individual.
individual?
Yeah.
Plain language version.
You do?
That could be your next writing project.
You're welcome.
Michael.
Yeah.
But no, it could be a great presentation for a group or a
Okay.
district too.
Where do you?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
You're in Ohio.
I am just $2 from Akron.
I'd love to connect. Whatever you
There you
need.
go. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
that's
Michael. Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah. What's your name again?
Terry.
Terry.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
buddy.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Nice work. You sounded great.
So glad I saw you.
They would love you on recovery speakers. Recovery speakers.
Piper story was true.
Thank you so much.
What story?
The Piper.
Whether
James and he said that they so
I learned so much. I don't know, but I'm curious.
James is what I do.
It was like, they must have gotten it as a gift. Yeah.
I don't think he really went the route that it was.
I know, right?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it.
No, I think we need to push him to write it.
Yeah, yeah.
You take that any day. You're doing all right.
She's a newcomer.
She's got more support. I tried to read varieties. Gave her my best shot. Who is the target audience? Is it academic? Like, I can't figure out who to go to for. Do you recommend like giving it a question or like?
I always recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right over there.
And looking around,
Okay.
looking around for an easier version or something. There's gotta be something.
No,
I'm gonna look it up after.
what do you write about? I mean, I'd like to meet this.
Yeah, get a picture. For the kids.
Freelance?
I would love that.
Yeah, more or less.
What's your last somebody? Oh, sure.
Here, take a quick picture so that I can show my kids. Anyone can get in. I just
Anybody
want you
can
to
get
feel
in.
like you shouldn't be in.
Okay, for the kids.
Thank you.
It's not about me. It's about my message. Hey, thanks for coming.
Copy the slide. If I give you an email or is
Yeah, possibly, sure. I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
All right. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, but I'll give you my email.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll send it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me give you my email. Sure. How do we do this? Hi.
It's okay. You can finish with him and then
No.
I've got to do
Certainly.
whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, it's Michael Carolan, Carolan is the last name. I'm on Substack and Medium.
Here, I'll let you just type it in rather than me.
Oh, you know what it is? It's Michael. Yeah, so I'm on Substack and Medium.com.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's at mcarolyn@charter.net.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. He did. Well, he didn't get sober in 35. He had a spiritual experience around December 14th in the town's hospital. And that's his survival date, that's his 35. But then he went around trying to save other alcoholics until he met Bob in 35. And in June of 35, that's when Bob got sober and Bill was living with him. Decided that June 10th because it was his first day sober, Bob, and he never drank again. Bob.
But Bill was already sober.
Bill had already been sober since December.
That's correct.
And so, yeah, it was complicated because they met on Mother's Day, as you heard, but Bob wasn't done. And his wife so loved Bill W. that he had Bill W. move in, she had Bill W. move in and work with Bob. But Bob's like, I got this conference in New Jersey, I'm a doctor, I gotta go. And he went and he drank.
After Mother's Day or before Mother's Day?
After Mother's Day. After Mother's Day. Yeah, after Mother's Day, one more time.
Really?
Until June 10th, and June 10th was the day where he was shaking.
Got it.
I think the movie showed him shaking, they had to get him ready for the surgery. That was his survival. Oh, okay. Yeah, his last beer that day, yeah.
That could go well, yeah.
Evie got some sobriety, but yeah, he went out. Yeah. And so did Roland. So did Roland.
Roland went out. That's
Roland
what
went
I
out.
know.
Yeah.
Well,
Roland.
that was way, that's so much earlier.
Right. Roland never really got involved in it. No. He just gave the message, and then Bill, being a great marketer, was like, "Oh, Jung, yes."
Yeah, okay.
And so many words. That's my own opinion.
Thank you.
I hope you continue doing this.
Absolutely.
It's, I think, wonderful
Yeah,
for
this was really
people
fun.
to
Thank
really
you.
understand.
Good.
Thank you. God bless you.
Questions. So
Yeah.
you don't have like a printout of that history of the like a paper that shows the timelines like you showed on the screen. You don't have a printout like that.
No, I didn't bring a printout,
Okay.
but I will next time.
Okay. Well, the other
If
question
you
is.
want to give me an email, I can send it to you. Or take my email.
I have my email. I can tell you my email is.
Or we could do,
But the other question I had, because
Yeah.
I was dying to hear the answer, I don't think I heard
Yeah.
it, was that when you talked with that ship where I think Jung and Freud kind of had outs, is that
Yeah,
right?
right.
Was that the Carpathian?
No, that was called the George Washington. I
that ship
didn't
was?
mention that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
hear
the
that part.
steamship George Washington.
Okay, because you said that
Yes.
was falling out for 3 years.
It was the
beforehand.
beginning of the end.
Yeah,
And
okay.
about 3 years after that, they had a falling out. 3 or 4 years after that, they had a real falling out.
Okay.
And they never really.
Right, because I thought you'd said it
Work
was
together.
the ship that notified about the
It was,
Titanic.
it was.
Oh, I thought the Carpathian was, or maybe that was the one that came to him.
Yeah, the rescue, yeah.
Okay,
This one
all right.
sent out a signal that we saw an iceberg. The George Washington sent out a signal, we saw an iceberg.
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah,
that's the part I didn't know. Oh, yeah, great. Well, I can write down my email. if you
Sure. Or I can write down mine and you can send me an email if you want.
Did
You're
you say
welcome.
Oh, right.
Area 31?
No,
Go into
I was teaching writing and literature.
My son was with that, okay.
Oh, was he?
Graduated in
Oh,
10
okay.
Clark, so
Oh,
that's why I knew.
yeah, that's
And the
interesting.
Sigmund Freud, my 2 grandkids had picture taken on the Sigmund Freud statue. That's where I met my daughter-in-law.
Oh, nice.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I didn't study psychology, but I have been,
And my son's more on the Carl Jung side.
Either one.
thank you.
My son's more on the Carl Jung side than the Freud side. He's a PsyD, not a
Aren't we all?
PhD.
Freud's, yeah. Freud's got his place, but
Yeah.
Carl Jung really was onto something that
Yeah.
Floyd couldn't touch
Right.
with a 10-foot pole.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Thank you.
Come and say hi.
I love you, Carol. Thank you for coming. Oh my God. How are you? Yeah, have I gotten
When I'm
taller?
standing up there, I felt like I wasn't as short.
Have I gotten taller?
So good seeing you, honey.
So great seeing you.
God, back in the day, it seems like it was yesterday.
Bruce is asking me to get involved in PI again.
I'm just rotating out of
Are you?
DCM after.
Oh, God
after
bless
my
you.
relapse with, what I went through.
Oh.
And I got back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great seeing you.
Oh,
You did a great.
always
I
great to
still
see
have
you.
that printout you gave me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Long time ago, I had what you gave me.
Yeah. Yeah, because you had me talk the same sort of talk.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's really, I should have mentioned that. At the,
Yes. At the
One was flat, yeah, and one was up.
Roundup.
The Roundup.
The Roundup. I had to do
2018 or
for
2019?
PI.
Yeah.
We had to do a thing. Yeah.
Oh, was it PI or was it archives?
No, I've never done archives.
And you
Yes,
had
I
me talk-
did do archives.
I think you did. And I think you were archives because you had me speak at the archives breakout on Zoom.
There you go.
People who do too much service get
But it's great seeing you.
Oh, always good to see you.
I just wanted to say that was
Yeah.
fabulous, thank you.
Oh, you're
I don't
welcome.
have any questions.
Oh,
for
okay.
you.
Yeah, well, thank you for sitting around and saying that. Yeah.
No, it was fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad that I had an opportunity to be here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good, you
should
followed
take
it
it
all.
on the road.
Yeah.
State conventions across the nation.
Right.
Michael, this little tiny clicker button thing is on your computer.
Yeah, I'd like to hear in the history
Okay.
too. I just went to November 1st, they had the 80th anniversary of Central Service, in Boston.
Oh,
The gentleman did a slide on it, that was fascinating stuff too.
neat.
Susan, what else needs to go up to your room?
Chartered up net.
It'd be really cool if we could just throw it back.
MCAROLEN.
In
Okay,
your room,
well,
maybe?
thank you very much, that was great. I love the
Yeah,
history.
yeah, that's great. Anytime.
My room, your room, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, if that's
Michael, that
okay
was
with you.
This is so
fantastic,
sweet.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You made it fun.
Oh, good. Yeah, I try to do that because I think too much history is kind of boring
Yeah.
Well, it can be very
Subject
dry.
matter
and dry.
Can go there.
And you did
Yeah.
not let it be dry. and
Good.
Made it fun, especially at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So really, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm
Yeah.
glad she found you. I'm glad she
Yeah.
overheard you.